Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your favorite bald weeb here, and I am back with yet another manga review. Today's manga is going to be called Sosei no Taiga. But this manga caught my attention because it involves time travel, and I was like, shit, let's give it a try. And it's a really good read. It's not as degenerate as a lot of the other manga that I've reviewed, but there is some boobs in this, so that's a plus. And there are really good action scenes, and I really like the art style in this. And overall, I'd probably say it's a 7 or 8 out of 10. I binge read like all 70 chapters of it. So if you are interested in any new mangas to read, check this one out. This story revolves around our main character Taiga, and in his OG life, he doesn't really got much going for him. He just broke up with his girlfriend a couple months ago. He's not like the main character of his own life. He's a little depressed. He's not happy with how his life turned out. So him and a bunch of his friends decide, hey, let's go on a vacation, and they end up going on one. Now his friends are called Useless 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, that's not fair. They actually have names, but they're pretty useless. The first one is going to be Ren. He's a piece of shit, and I hate him. You're going to see why here in a little bit. Then we have Arata. He's kind of just there the entire story. Then we have Yuka, Rikako, Chihiro, and Riku. And a couple of these people do become useful, but majority of them are kind of just there. So on this vacation that all these friends are going on, they discover a cave. And naturally, when you see a cave, you're like, that's dope. Let's check it out, because that's what I would do. They go inside the cave and they see a bunch of old cave paintings of humans hunting mammoths, and they're like, wow, we're about to be rich as shit. But, you know, unfortunately, the cave collapses and they got to get out. And as the cave's collapsing, they go deeper into the cave, but they do find a way out. And on their way out, they realize that they're not in Kansas anymore. They have went back in time. They got time traveled back to before electricity, back before pornography, before Pizza Hut. They went all the way back to the days that mammoths were roaming the earth. They went back to the OG human days when we had just gotten out of the caves and actually started to try to make, you know, little huts and stuff. So this group of 7 friends naturally is pretty shocked at what's going on. They're like, oh, this ain't good. We got to find a way to get back. And they come to terms pretty quickly. Well, majority of them do that. There's no going back, and that this is their new life. And Taiga adjusts very fast to this. He was the quickest one to adjust and took up the role of the supreme badass of this group. So as they're all stuck back in time, they try their best to, you know, make rudimentary shelters. They try hunting, they try to gathering water, they're trying to stay safe from other predators. They're doing pretty good considering what had just happened to them. I mean, if it was me, I would have probably died because I don't know how to do like half the stuff that they knew how to do. It's a good thing that a couple of them in the group are very knowledgeable about stuff like this, or else they would have died like day one. So as they progress day by day, they end up coming across some other humans. They come across some Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, and it appears that the Homo sapiens and Neanderthals do not like each other because every time they see each other, it's automatic war and they're just going straight for the kill. So our group of Taiga and his 6 useless friends decide, hey, let's just avoid those guys because we don't want none of that. Now, naturally, they try to hide themselves and make sure they're not seen, and that evidently backfires, and the Neanderthals end up finding out where they are and try to come and kill them. But our main boy Taiga is like, I'm gonna be a badass, and lures the Neanderthals away and ends up killing a lot of them. But in that process, he ends up getting lost and has no idea where he's at, and is kind of just wandering around in this prehistoric era in jeans. But in his pursuit to get back to his friends, he ends up coming across our main waifu. Her name is Tiari, but we're gonna call her Tia for sure. He comes across our prehistoric waifu Tia, and of course they naturally can't speak languages. He speaks Japanese or English or, you know, whatever it would be, because technically we're reading this in English, but it's translated into Japanese. You know what I mean. And she speaks ancient like click clicks. So he ends up saving her from some Neanderthals, and because he saved her, she ends up owing him a favor, and she ends up helping him get back to her camp. And on their way back to the camp, they end up growing a little closer to each other, and that's when we see our first boob. It took only a lot of chapters, but we saw one. And then you don't really see any others for the rest of the manga, so hopefully we get to see some more in the future. And on their way back, they came across the wolf that they used to help kill some Neanderthals, because whenever they see Neanderthals, they're like, we're gonna fucking kill you. And the wolf ends up dying, but it did have some puppies, so naturally our main character's like, yo, I'm smart, we can use that. And he takes one of the puppies with him, and that wolf puppy ends up becoming very useful to him for the rest of the story. Now eventually they do get back to the camp, and on the way back to the camp, our main character thought all of his friends had died, but once he gets back, he realizes that no, they did not die. They are currently being held prisoner by Tiari's people. And our main character's like, nah, that's not about to happen. Free them. And to do that, he ends up challenging this village's best warrior to a fight. Now, of course, that guy's gonna win. He's a goddamn caveman. Well, cavemen don't know about mixed martial arts. So our main character knows a little bit of MMA and uses that and actually chokes the guy out unconscious. And everybody's like, oh shit, this guy's actually a badass. Let's leave him alone. And with that, his friends are freed and the whole gang is back together. And from here on out, this group of friends is helping this village to basically get better technologies, to hunt more efficiently and things like that. They're using what knowledge that they can to help this village and help people survive and kill and conquer and eat food and drink water and get pussy and all the other fun stuff. So our main character Taiga just becomes more and more of a badass. He gets better at being a hunter and being a warrior, and ends up becoming this village's best warrior. Now, some of his other friends, they're alright. The main guy that I have a problem with is Ren. He is such a bitch, and every time I see him, I just want to punch him in his face. He's one of those guys that's like, guys, we shouldn't be doing this. We're messing with time. You're a murderer. How could you kill people? I'm not gonna help anybody. I'm a scared little... You want to hit him every time. So he's very, very annoying. The other guy, Arata, he's kind of just there. He contributes a little bit with his knowledge, but other than that, he's kind of just there. Taiga eventually ends up helping him learn to be a warrior, so he does get a little bit stronger. But other than that, I feel like he's kind of like what we would be if we were in this situation. He's kind of like the normal man. Because let's be honest here, none of us would be a complete warrior. We would have all probably have died if we didn't have a guy like Taiga. Next, we have some of the women. We have Yuka. She doesn't really do much. She's kind of just there. The other one is Rikako. She's kind of smart and she helps with some of the science and things. Chihiro is kind of the same. She knows a lot about things and helps a little bit. But the other MVP that I feel like doesn't get enough credit is Riku. This dude is so smart. He ends up inventing the wheel for these people, and you might be like, oh, I could do that. Do you know how to actually make a wagon? Because I don't. This guy does. He ends up being able to smelt iron. I wouldn't even know how to do any of that. So this guy is like the brains behind this village and is number 2 in line for MVP candidate. And the rest of the story goes like that. They're constantly at war with the Neanderthals. Our main character Taiga gets closer with Tiara. This group of kinda useless friends helps the village out whenever they can. And there's a lot of fighting, and there actually is a rape scene at one point, so just throwing that out there, be ready for that. I'm not going to tell you who, but it does happen. And probably the best part about this manga is the Nazis are somehow involved. Yeah, go figure. I don't know how that happens, but the Nazis are somehow involved in all this, and there are hints of it leading up into this story, but in the most recent chapter, it got confirmed. It's not really like a big spoiler or anything, because we don't really know much about what happened, but the Nazis are involved. So there's that. So that's pretty funny. This is definitely a good manga to read, and I would definitely recommend you guys to check it out. I will leave the name and the creator down there below, so go give it a read. It's very, very interesting. And with all that said and done, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.